Now, if you've been sitting in a science class, you may have heard the term element before. But what exactly is an element? Everything that exists. So looking around you right now, everything that's around you, whether it's living or not living, could be your desk, it could be the floor, it could be your bed, it could be you. Everything is made up of atoms. Atoms themselves are made up of 3 parts. Protons, which are positive, neutrons, which are neutral, and these negative electrons, which zip around the outside of the atom. Now, based on these 3 parts, you can create many different types of atoms. Maybe I have 1 proton in 1 atom, and I have 3 protons in a different type of atom. All of the different types of atoms are called elements. Living organisms, even though there are many different types of elements, living organisms are mostly made up of 6 different types of elements. So whether it's a dog, a cat, an insect, or a fish, they're usually made up mostly of these 6 different types of atoms called elements. The 6 most common elements in life include carbon. Carbon is actually the most common element. Because carbon is found in all living organisms, and it's the most common of the elements, organic means that it contains carbon, and usually we associate organic with life. So the 6 elements are carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. Anything that is living is most likely made up of these 6 elements, plus some extra ones, but the majority of them would be made up of these 6 elements. So I'm going to give you an example scenario that you could see on an exam. So let's say you discover a new species of deep water snail. So you're a scientist, you're a researcher, or you could just be an everyday person who decided to go scuba diving. And you notice deep, deep down in the ocean, there's a snail. No one else has ever seen this kind of snail before. And you decide to name this snail with a scientific name, Ornithorhynchus snailis. Now, this particular snail has a softer exterior than most other kinds of snails. It has a very soft shell. So you take a little sample from its shell, and when the sample is analyzed in a lab, what element or elements would you expect to see in the shell of this snail? So here are some options. A, iron, B, calcium, C, carbon, D, magnesium. Now the key words here, the snail we know is a living organism. And I'm asking about elements. Now, all living organisms are made up primarily of these 6 most common elements. And carbon is the only one of these 6 most common elements that's given as an option. So chances are, looking at this snail's shell, because the snail is a living organism, It's going to be made up of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur, with carbon being the most prevalent of the 6 most common elements. So we always look for carbon first. Out of these 6 most common elements, the only one we see on this list is carbon, so that must be the answer. So no matter what it is, any form of life, we expect to see these 6 most common elements, with carbon being the primary element.